Hey, Johnny.
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Oh, Henry's in the house. Fantastic.
Man.
All right, Brian. Hey, Brian. Fantastic job today on the call. I appreciate you chiming in. That was phenomenal. Nice work.
Awesome. Went well.
Yes. We already have several hundred life cases booked out of this morning's calls. I mean, it's just incredible.
Love it. Love it.
This is
That's
just
Bill Henry.
yes.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing, man?
The legend.
No,
right.
you're the legend.
Yes, he's a legend.
Is that Tim?
It is. Good
Hey,
to
what are
see
you doing, man?
you. I miss you.
You too.
Hi, Bill.
Who's that?
Darlene.
Hey, how are you, Darlene?
Good. How are you?
How's your leg?
It's better. Thank you.
Totally recovered? Remember those crutches.
I see people like dotting, chiming in. 30 more seconds, and we're going to get this party started. Shirley and Cheryl in the house. You get the whole band's back
Johnny,
together.
Well, Johnny, Johnny, places that have commissioned salespeople, but they're W-2 employees, they do count, right?
Correct. Yep. I didn't text you back then, but yes, they do. Yep.
Yep.
All right, we're gonna get going. If everybody could mute your phones, just so I have to combat with everybody, and certainly chime in if you have a question. I'm gonna try not to do a lot of questions during it. I'm just gonna have it be a teaching session and blow through this thing. Then we can spend as long as we need afterwards. But if everybody could just mute your phones, I'd appreciate it. We're gonna get rock and roll in 30 seconds. All right. You'll hear some background noise on a few of you.
I'll mute my phone, but are you going to record this?
It's already in process. I think I did it right. Yes, it's already recording. All right. Okay, guys, welcome to our training here to go over how to present this unbelievable opportunity. So I'm glad everybody's here. That means you're engaged and you realize this is a very serious opportunity and we're not going to miss it. We will have no regret a year from now. That's fantastic. So this is twofold, okay? Part of this, I need a lot of help because literally sometimes I'm up till 3 and 4 in the morning. I was last night getting all the invites out ready to go. And sometimes my first Zoom starts at 7:30 the next morning. I'll sleep a year from now. I don't care about that, but there's still only 23 spots in a day that I can do these from 7:30. Actually, the West Coast team added a few hours because 5 o'clock to them is 8 o'clock my time. So trying not to go that late, but you know, the LA people have been working a little bit later. But there's a phenomenal opportunity here. So I want to have you guys feel so confident that you can share this opportunity in a drop of, in a moment's time. Also, there's a phenomenal opportunity if you need to make some dough, if you want to own this presentation, we absolutely need help. So here's the opportunity. If you want to own this and be for hire as a presenter, obviously just as long as you get it down reasonably well, doesn't have to be perfect, but get it down reasonably well, because we're expanding our team across the country. I want as many people to cash in and make a fortune on this as possible. So here's the deal. $50 to do a presentation, which takes 19 minutes, as you know. And once they pay their deposit, it's another $50. So if you guys, I do 15 or 20 a day most times. If you want to do 5 in a day, that takes 2.5 hours. You're guaranteed $250. If 3 of the 5 pay the deposit, you just made $400. Do that 5 mornings a week if you want, make $2 grand. If you want to do more than that, please, we will give you all the work you want. If you want to do more and more and more. If you did 10 a day, that's 500, okay? And then if 5 of them engage, it's another 250. You can make 750 a day, 4-day work week. And that's still 5 hours a day, guys. You can crank this out. You'll make 3,000 a week, okay? This is a very real opportunity to make 12 grand a month just as a presenter. Of course, I hope you're going to do it for your own cases as well. That's where the huge money is, but there's so much money here. I always preach this, guys, have no regrets a year from now. Have no regrets. I see Jeremy on the line. His agency has 9 appointments booked in, I gave him nine spots. I think in a half an hour they were all taken, okay? If I had 19, he'd probably take those too. So many people on this Zoom are hungry, and I don't want to turn anybody down. I don't want to miss an opportunity. I don't care if it's a 6-person nonprofit. I want to help them too. And I want to help every one of you, okay? Every single one of you do this. So if you have your outline, I printed mine, but if we're going to kind of go right through this, some stuff matters an awful lot. And I'm going to give you some subtle things I'm saying and what I say, why I say it, when I say it. Some stuff doesn't matter that much, and you can use your own personality. That's okay. But again, we're going to hold questions till the end unless something's really urgent about the why I said this, when. But we're going to get you guys experted up here, and I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to do this. Now, do you guys all know how to pull up the share screen with a PowerPoint for a customer? You guys all know how to do that? Do you need me to? I don't want to skip any steps at all. You guys need to know how to do that. Chime in now if you guys want me to back up and do that. You guys all know how to share a screen and do Zoom links? All right, I might cover that more in the beginning. I mean, more at the end if we need to.
I don't know how to do it.
You don't know how to do it. Let me go through the presentation itself. At the end, I'll circle back to make sure we know how to function, because it's important how we line these up. As you know, right now, it's a mad dash. It's a text message phenomenon. I get hundreds of text messages some days. So people say, what do you have next Wednesday? I'll tell them I have 8:30, 4, and 4:30. They pick a spot and they text me the name of the company, the email address of the owner, and their email. If I'm doing it for an agent or an individual, I send a Zoom link and we're ready to go. If you're doing a presentation for one of our one of our agents, I'm cueing them to do a introduction to edify you. And just to do an introduction, just cordially, this is Joe so-and-so with ABC Glass. This is Bill. He's the expert in this. He's going to kind of explain how this works. That's just kind of lay the table. So if you have your presentation up in front of you, I'm kind of going to go side by side. Okay. So introduction is brief and cordial. That's where you want to do, some kind of not business, just a little warm-up rapport. Okay. It's easy for me because I'm doing a whole lot of in South Florida, people in the sun, and I'm in it's snowing in my backyard, so I can commiserate with that. Just something to joke about. But just hey, you have a good Mother's Day weekend, happy Cinco de Mayo, whatever it was. But don't spend a lot of time. You're kind of going to go right into it. Okay. Now, if you look on the introduction, it says, "Can you tell me a little bit about?" Boom. Let's just say we're using a construction company, and we use this as our prototype tonight. A 20-employee construction company. Okay. So, can you tell me about ABC contracting? And let them tell you, my dad started a business 45 years ago. Me and my brother took over when my dad passed away. We have 20 employees right now. We do mostly commercial, a little bit of renovation and the residential side. What else you want to know? And they're going to give you an idea of that, okay? And I'm going to ask this question. How have the last 2 years been for you? Has it been a roller coaster? Best year ever? You kind of hurting? Or things flat? And then shut up. Let them tell you what the 2 years have been like. 3 out of 4 times, they almost apologetically are going to say, honestly, we're doing phenomenal. Last year was our best year ever. Don't be surprised by that, guys. That is the American entrepreneurial spirit that we love. That's why we're doing this. But if they also say we're absolutely hurting, we're hoping we can stay open to the end of the year, we want to help those people too. We don't want to, again, it's not all about revenue, but if they've never heard of ERC and they're down 70% revenue, we can help them the old-fashioned way as well. So don't cut yourself off on that regard as well. But I'm going to say, how have the last 2 years been for you? It's been a roller coaster, best year ever, hurting, kind of flat, and then let them talk. Okay, they're probably going to say, we kind of were pretty tough at first in 2020 when the pandemic hit, but then we hired everybody back toward the end of 20. We were doing fine, and yet last year was our best year ever. That's what you're going to hear resounding almost always. Okay, but again, if they're down on revenue, don't dismiss that. We can still use that. Okay. Now on this is the second screen with the 5 questions. It's just you can just put this up as a cue if you want. I usually on this screen just kind of bounce it off of them, okay? But when I put this screen up, I'm gonna say, when I share my screen, do you see Jones and Associates in front of you? And they say, yes, I do. Say, fantastic. Now, this is important. This part is important. It's say, Jones is a team that's grown of 160 CPAs, analysts, and assistants. All they do 24/7 is what we're going to talk about today, ERC, okay? It's very important that they realize, because they might have had one accountant that said you won't qualify. And that's in the back of their mind, even if they didn't volunteer that to you. Very important, okay? So when you say that, we're a team that's grown of 160 CPAs, analysts, and assistants. All we do is ERC, okay? Think of it as attorneys, paralegals, and clerks. In this world, it's CPAs, analysts, and assistants. That's what we do 24/7. Okay. Now we're going to ask them these 5 questions. If you're not sure what the questions are, a little brief about their company. I already kind of asked that. Can you tell me a little bit about ABC Glass? And so what size employer are you? How many employees do you have? Now, I'm going to pause on this so you guys understand how to do this equation. If they say we have 20 employees, you have to dig a little bit and say, okay, are most of those pretty full-time? Half the time, this is going to be that simple. Yep, 20. Has that number been pretty consistent the last 2 years? Yeah, pretty much. Okay, then it's easy. That's an easy one. If they say, well, right now we just hired 4 more, so we're up to 24. That's not going to make a difference for last year. If they say that we're growing, we're up to 24 right now, it doesn't really matter about May of 2022. It's 20 and 21. So say, well, what do you think? How many do you think you had toward the end of 20? Oh, at the end of 20, we probably had about 15. Okay, fantastic. And then what about the middle of 21? Yeah, we're probably up to 20 by then. All you need is an approximation, but you're going to need to do that. Okay. So again, if they say it's been consistent, now you do want to say, are they all W-2s or are some of those contracted workers? All we care, not that we care about, but all that we can help them regarding is those W-2s. Has to be a W-2 worker. And then I'll say, are they all full-time? Now, remember the qualifications. They have to have at least 2 full-time, non-owner, non-family employees to qualify, okay? Now, if they have 2 full-time, non-family, non-owner employees and 500 part-timers, those 500 part-times could be worth $1 million as well. But it can't be 1 full-time and 500 part-time. So understand that it has to be at least 2 full-times. Now, do we want to waste a lot of times on Zooms of just a 2-person company? Not really, okay? We want to help everybody, but the same 19 minutes is on if they have 2 or if they have 202. So our sweet spot is that 10 to 100, really. That's where we can machine gun them down, okay? And if you're kind of new at this, say the 10s to the 50s, 10 to 50, 10 to 60, there'll be a rewind play, do it again, and just machine gun them down, okay? Now, how many full-times? If they say 20, and let's say they said 30, okay, are they all full-time? No, some of them are part-time. Then kind of figure it out. They say 20, we say 20 full-time, then the 10 are part-time. If they say that, it's just a guesstimate, but take a little note, okay? If they have 10 part-times, let's say they're probably like 15 hours a week. If they have 10, 15-hour-a-week employees, that equals 5 more employees, okay? So every 30 hours of combined part-times is a full-time equivalent. Similar, but not the exact same formula as with healthcare reform. Okay, because if you guys aren't aware, when they passed the Affordable Care Act, 50 or more employees, you had to offer, affordable, creditable health insurance, but you couldn't get away with just having 200 part-times and not offering it. They diced those up, so you got what's called a full-time equivalent. This is similar, not identical, but similar, but to their advantage, okay? They can't be the only ones, but those part-timers can certainly add up. Okay, now, I want to ask if they've had, were you guys able to take advantage of the PPP funding? Okay, now, if they say, yes, they have, it's fantastic because now they know this is going to be real, that too good to be true is much less likely. If they say, no, we didn't, that's actually fantastic because they're going to get more money with our deal. So either one doesn't matter, but you do have to take notes. Let me show you what my notes look like. Every single case I do kind of looks like this. I put a date in the corner, the name of the company, and I make a little notes. How many employees there were? Okay. How many, did they do PPP? Yes or no? 1 round or 2 round? That's important. Okay. Did they have PPP round 1 and round 2? And I'll ask them, if they did round 2, it's important to ask, is it all forgiven or still in process? Okay. Now, why is that important? We can't submit an ERC filing until their second round is forgiven. We can get the process started, get it ready to hit send, but we can't finish our work until the second round of PPP is forgiven. Okay. Most of them are done, but some of them say we should hear any day. Okay. But again, if they've had PPP forgiven, they're less likely to say this sounds too good to be true because they just lived through it. Okay, that's a big part of this. Okay, and then I want to know, what do you know about the employee retention credit? What do you know about ERC? And let them talk. If you heard me on a Zoom, there's going to be 2 answers. Actually, I know absolutely nothing until Michelle reached out to me. Okay, that's actually good. I'll say, well, that's actually helps because there's a lot of misinformation out there, a lot of misunderstanding. Now, they might not even be admitting that they looked it up online before the Zoom. Okay, but that's fine. Okay. Some people say, you know what, we looked into this a while ago and we're pretty sure we don't qualify, or we were told we don't qualify, or even our CPA said we don't qualify. So I'm real curious how you can, how you could possibly think you can help us, but I'm certainly willing to listen. You will hear that a ton. Okay. But it's very important. Just let them say it. Just agree, nod your head. Absolutely. That's why we're meeting today. Okay. You just have to agree and proceed. Okay. So I usually ask the questions on this screen. Just give me an idea of your business. And they back to the page 1 of the outline. Can you tell me a little bit about your business? Yep, we're a construction company, yada, yada. How many employees do you have? Ask about W-2s, full-time, etc. Were you able to take advantage of the PPP funding? Yes, we were. Okay, around just the first one. No, we did both rounds. Is the second one forgiven or still in process? It should be done any day. What do you know about ERC? Okay. Casual conversation, you're not grilling them, but we need to know these 5 things. Okay. You can put this up if you want. Okay. Or just ask them and they kind of click through the slide either way. Okay. But now this is the slide where we are going to start the metamorphosis that they're going to realize, OMG, this might actually be real. And they start to sit up a little taller. Okay. So slide 3, the quick history of the program. Okay. Where this all came from. This is very important, guys. Now, you want to position yourself as an expert. And what does an expert mean? You mean that means you know a little bit more than they do. That's all. Don't worry about knowing the whole thing, but you want to sound smart. Okay. I'm going to say, I'm going to give them a little history, but I'm going to give you a couple dates that's important to memorize, not because it makes an ounce of difference, but it means it sounds like you know what you're talking about. Okay. So at the beginning of this, I'm going to say, let's go back in time 2 years. Okay. Again, voice inflection is important, guys. Don't be like a monotone, flat, put some up and down in your voice, helps a lot. But let's go back in time 2 years. Remember when the pandemic first hit, we went from an absolutely booming economy to bam, and an almost total shutdown overnight. And they're going to relate to that. We all lived through it. Okay, there's nothing new there. If you want to, hit a little farther on that, you can say we went from record low unemployment in every sector, stock market breaking record after record, to boom, overnight, and almost total shutdown. They said 2 weeks to flatten the curve, just 1 more week. It was obviously going to be a while. Okay, they're not going to be foreign to that concept. We all lived through that, guys. Okay. So what I say is the government poured $2 trillion into the CARES Act as this giant attempt to save the country financially in hopes that when things lifted, we could pick up right where we left off. Okay. And there were several strategies in that one bill. Now, part of the reason I'm doing this, not because it makes a difference for ours, because when you start with things that they've heard of, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Then when you say something they don't, they think you're the expert because the other stuff, ring a bell. It's all a mentality or psychology. We're doing this. Okay. So we're still on the bottom of the page 1, but 2 years ago, booming economy to a total shutdown overnight. The government poured $2 trillion. I kind of hesitate like that, trillion with a T, dollar into the CARES Act to save the U.S. financially. Several strategies. I'll say one is, remember, stimulus money. The employees got a check for like $1,200 in the mail that month. Okay, just to get money flowing through the marketplace. Okay, they remember that. Okay, they're going to remember that. That happened. Okay. Number 2, unemployment. If the place you were working was deemed not essential and was shut down for a while, you could extend your unemployment benefits. Okay. Sometimes I'll even hint and say, probably too long, but that's another story. Because hiring is a big pain point for these guys. Number 3 is, PPP. And almost like I just thought of it, actually, that sounded too good to be true at the time, didn't it? Okay, just say it naturally like that. PPP, that sounded too good to be true, didn't it? A sizable loan, but you don't have to pay it back. That never happened before. You guys, I just get soft and I say, my mom always said that things that sound too good to be true usually are, so be careful. But you live through it. They actually forgave those debts. It's amazing. Okay. So again, I'm talking about my mom in here, and they're talking about something they lived through. You're just winning them over a little bit at a time. And this whole thing takes place in 19 minutes like magic, guys. It really, really does. Okay. Well, you say that sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? A sizable loan, but you don't have to pay it back. And they're nodding and agreeing and realize actually that's true. I did live through that. Okay. After that, I'm going to say, yet the largest part of the CARES Act was this ERC we're talking about tonight. They had earmarked $1.2 trillion for this part. Okay. But 9 months later, there was still $1.2 trillion in that fund. It was a massive failure. Okay. What happened is they didn't unintentionally, they made the qualifications so hard, almost nobody could qualify. Okay. So it's important you say that. It's like a discovery. It was because some of them seen guidance, they don't qualify. When you say $1.2 trillion was still there 9 months later, a little light bulb connection is going to go off in their brain. Okay, because they're wondering, they want to justify this really bad in their mind, and we're gonna play with their mind a little bit, get them very excited. But this is everything we're saying is absolutely true, guys. How this works. Okay. Now to the government, that's a massive failure. Okay, because they're trying to give away $1 trillion and couldn't do it. Okay, a lot of times I'll add here. Personally, I kind of have a problem with this because this is our tax money that's so freely giving away. But honestly, what I think doesn't matter because they earmark these funds. Okay, that means they can't change their mind and just give it to infrastructure or something like that. They can't do that. This money has to go to the American business. Okay, or the American employer. Okay, similarly, when Trump earmarked money to build the wall, no matter what administration was after that, they can't change their mind and use that money for anything else. That's the only place that money could go. Similarly, this is earmarked for ERC. The only place this money can go is the American employer. Okay. So to the government, it's a massive failure, but they earmark, so they have to give this out. Now, this is so you know, sounds like you know what you're talking about. So after that, they passed the rescue plan. And then it was the appropriations bill, especially. Between those two, there was hundreds of pages of guidance that changed this entire program. Okay. So again, we're revealing something big happened. $1.2 trillion. 9 months later, it was still there. They kind of got caught with their pants down. They're supposed to give this money away and they can't do it. So what happened? They passed the rescue plan, which they added some guidance that changed this a little bit. It was really the appropriations bill that came out after that, a little bit after Christmas of 2020, right at the end of the year before New Year's, that really changed this entire thing. Okay, with hundreds of pages of new guidance. Okay, now I'll say here, there's two parts of this program. There's a how much and a how to. I'm going to do a quick how much exercise with you. And in 2 slides, I'll go over exactly how we qualify you. Now, this I want you to memorize like the back of your hand. The first time period in play here is from March 13th to December 31st of 2020. Okay. Now, is it true that that's the time period? Yes. Okay. Do we ever need the last 2 weeks of March to qualify somebody? No. Okay. If you look at the screen right now, 50% of whatever they get W-2 wages, but maxes out at 5,000 per employee. So that means any employee that made 10,000 or more, you're going to get $5,000. That's what that means. If they made 8,000, you get 4,000. But almost every employee made at least 10,000 during that year. And we have 3 quarters for them to make $10,000 that year. Now, if we needed it, there's an extra 2 weeks. We have 9 months and 2 weeks, but we never need it. But just to be very, very specific of how the law is written, the first time period in play here is from March 13th to December 31st of 2020. Guys, people will write that. They'll take a pen and they're going to write that down. You'll see them taking notes. I just love it because that means they're listening and they're confused and they want this to be true in the worst way. Okay. During that time period, you as an employer are eligible to for a 50% reimbursement of payroll that went out during that time period, but it maxes out at 5,000 per employee. Okay. And what did I use here? I think we used 20 for, we used 20 for example for here. We're going to do a 12-person company. Now, everybody do this with me if you could. Take your phone out, okay? And we're going to do the calculator together to show you how simple this is. But I want you to get real familiar with this. So you have to have your phone with you. This is the magic. I know some of the groups out there, are sending the Jordan 7-minute video and kind of capturing it. That does work sometimes. But I'm telling you, when we make this specific about their company, their numbers, about how much they're going to get, it is way different because this became real, okay? So again, we want them, they're gonna have a little bit of disbelief when we tell them the first number, and that's not even the big number. By the time we do the big number, it's gonna be huge, okay? So I say the first time period in play here is from March 13th to December 31st of 2020. During that 9.5-month period, you as an employer are eligible for a 50% reimbursement of payroll, maxing out at $5,000 per employee, okay? So we take our, now some of it is simple math, you know that 12 times 5,000 is gonna be 60, but do it anyways. You have 12 employees times 5,000, that's $60,000, okay? Just like it says on the sheet here, okay? Now I'll say, now this is not PPP round 3. A lot of people are confused, I'm not sure what it is. It's not an SBA or a revitalization loan. This one's not a loan at all. Now, this is my first inference. What Jones is going to do is they're going to amend your 941 quarterlies, resubmit it on a 941X form, this time add that appropriate ERC credit to line 18, and that's going to trigger an overpayment. In the government's eyes, that's going to issue a refund made out to the company. Now, that you're going to take some practice to get that flow of it, but once you get that out smooth, you sound just that. You sound smooth, and they're following along. So I'm going to do that again. But the inference was what Jones is going to do is they're going to, and I say them, they're going to amend your returns. I'm just going to pick on Bill. He's on one of my pictures here. Bill's going to be this employer, okay? So what they're going to do, Bill, is they're going to amend your 941 quarterlies, resubmit them on a 941X. I didn't say if you decide to work with us, that's what would happen. I say what Jones is going to do, Bill, is they're going to amend your 941 quarterlies, resubmit them on a 941X form. This time, add that appropriate ERC credit to line 18. That's going to trigger an overpayment in the government's mind, which will result in a refund check made out to, was it ABC Roofing, whatever it was. Okay, so that's the part you want to practice so it comes out smooth. Rewind, play, but you'll get it. Okay, it results in an overpayment, which will trigger a refund check made out to the company. Okay, now people want to know if this is a taxable check. Of course they do, right?
Johnny, I have a quick question.
Okay.
It's Sue.
Yep.
Does it actually though only go back 2 years? So would it actually be May 9th if you were talking to him today? May 10th as of tomorrow?
No, it's not like that. This is the time period in play. No, this is the time period. It's March 13th to December 31st. There's the eligible quarters that we can do. Okay. Eligible quarters, because 2020 is a it's one, I think I know what you're saying as far as the 2 year, but this is at December 31st. You can't go 2 years past that technically. It's one taxable year. 2020 is a quarter, but this is a taxable year, so we can go back to the beginning of it. Okay, hopefully that answered your question. Yeah, so we can go 2 years forward. Now, probably be done by then, but it is what it is. So we can still do this 2 years forward. Okay, I don't want to confuse everybody else on that, but we're good with this. Okay. But it's very important we say not taxable. I say example one, I'm going to say, have you ever had an employee that had too much come out of that check every week on purpose just to get a bigger refund in the spring? And they will always, almost all not, okay? I just want to kind of go through that as if I'm thinking a way to explain it. It's rewind, play the same thing every single time. But, you know, like, have you ever had an employee that had too much come out of their check every week on purpose just to get a bigger refund in the spring? And someone will say, sure. Some of the HR ladies on the call will say, I do that, whatever. Now, if they do that, I'm not going to put it down, but most of them, I'll just say, I don't know if it's a good idea or not. If they say it's stupid, I'll jump in on that. Yeah, it's a free interest-free loan to the government for a year. It's not smart, but whatever. Some people do it just to get a bigger refund. But the point is, when an employee does that, any refund you get in the spring is a refund of an overpayment. That's your money. That's why it's not taxable. That's why this is not taxable, because it's also a refund of an overpayment just at the employer level. Does that make sense? And most of them will say yes, and they'll kind of grasp that. Okay. And then I want to get the idea of amendment. Some will just already know what it means. Some you just need to kind of walk along, even if they know what it means. And I say by amendment, I'll say just like if you had done your year-end return and you already had your account sent it in, and then it occurred to you, you forgot to mention your new solar panels you had that year. You could have them amend your return. This time, put the solar panel credit in there, you get a check, okay? Now, this is key because I want them to justify why we're doing this. This might sound subtle. I'll say, not that you put solar panels on your business bill, but what you did do is you kept them employees employed. You kept Americans employed during a very trying time in this country's history. That makes you eligible for this reimbursement. Does that make sense? And believe me, they want this to make sense because they want this to be real, and they say yes, okay? So that might sound like it doesn't make a difference at all, but I'm gonna first justify why they should get this money, okay? So I'll say, not that you put solar panels on your building bill, but what you did do is you kept Americans employed during a very trying time in this country's history. That makes you eligible for this reimbursement. Does that make sense? And just get them to agree, okay? Our favorite word is yes, right? We're getting them to say yes a whole bunch of times on purpose, those little trial soft closes along the way, okay? Bill, you're having fun, I can tell. I love it. All right, where were we here? Now say, follow me so far. They say yes, okay? Now, this is the expert inference. This is music to their ears if they're worried about it. I'm on the top of page 3 right now on that outline. It says, and we're talking about CPAs and analysts. They eat, sleep, breathe compliance, okay? We got to make sure that we keep you compliant more than anything else, and you can't what's called double dip, okay? Now, all of a sudden, you're going to be tapping into some of the money you're trying to promise here, but this is a phenomenal phenomenon that takes place here, okay? If you think back to your first round of PPP forgiveness, okay, you had to carve out an 8-week period and demonstrate that you use those funds for things like payroll, utilities, and mortgage. Guys, 100% of them did all payroll, okay, 99% of them was all payroll, but they could have used it for payroll, utilities, and mortgage. Basically, they had to demonstrate they didn't use this money to buy a boat. They used this money to keep people employed. That's what the idea was for PPP, okay? Payroll protection. We're trying to protect their payroll, okay? So again, I sound like an expert, like I know what I'm talking about. And guys, I didn't know a thing about any of this at Christmas 4 months ago, 5 months ago, okay? I knew nothing of this. I just got familiar enough so I could make 7 figures in 4 months already. This is ridiculous. This is a real opportunity, guys. So just bear down and learn this. Own it, become an expert, okay? But I'll say, if you think back to your first round of PPP forgiveness, okay, you had to carve out an 8-week period and demonstrate that you use those monies for things like payroll, utilities, and mortgage. Most people use it for payroll. They might even chime in. That's what we use it all for, okay? So we have to say we can't double dip. So we have a 41-week period. Remember, March 13th to the end of the year. So we have to carve out an 8-week period during that. So it doesn't make a huge impact, but usually takes about 15% off of hours. So now on that calculator, just get used to this. This is a simple number, but sometimes if they have 17 employees, the number is not as simple. But 60,000 do times 0.85. Boom, your new number should be 51,000. It's on your cheat sheet here, but once you get really good at the numbers on the phone, guys, and every single one, I don't know if you can see this or not. Today's, it was 65,000, and I crossed it out. It says really closer to 55,000. I just did the same thing. I did times 0.85 on the computer when I'm doing. I have a little worksheet in front of me. Okay. Again, on this, I have a 1 page like this for every single account. I write down how many employees they have, PPP, etc. Okay. And notes. Was it a roller coaster or best year ever? I'll write down best year ever. Okay, write those little notes down. Just a simple 1 pager. But especially the numbers, because you want this to be magic, okay? So again, it's not a huge difference, but it might cut into ours about 15%, so it's still 51,000 of a check made out to Bill Henry Contracting, a non-taxable check. Follow me so far? And again, they're with you, okay? Any questions so far up to here? Was it good? I'm gonna keep going then. And where were we? Page, oh, no, wrong page, okay. So now you're down to 51,000, okay? Now here, I'm gonna say, I'm not quoting you an exact amount. We can't get that exact over a 15-minute Zoom. Remember, I'm saying that because it might be 20 minutes when I'm done, but I'll just say, I can't get that exact over a 15-minute Zoom, okay? Now, I want you to own this, okay? We are partners in this. We are all a partner in this, okay? So I'll say, listen, I've done hundreds and hundreds of these. I've done maybe 600, 700 of these now, I don't even know, okay? So I'll say I've done hundreds and hundreds of these, but I'm pretty close on my math, okay? But you can say my partner and I have done hundreds and hundreds of these. Even if I've done 699 and you've done one, that means together we did 700. Just own this and be part of it, guys. Just say, we've done hundreds and hundreds. I'm pretty close on my math, okay? So don't worry about the integrity of that. That is real. We have done hundreds. And then as soon as you want to own it, just say I've done hundreds of these once you're there, okay? I'll say, follow me so far. Another yes. Again, that more says right here, that metamorphosis has already started. It was just a cocoon around this slimy caterpillar. All of a sudden, there's a little bit of movement in there, okay? Starting to crack open. After that, I mentioned they passed the appropriations bill. Now, again, they, at this point, $60,000, $51,000 tax-free. This sounds too good to be true. They're thinking that, okay? It's weird because when the number gets over a certain threshold, they don't even worry about that anymore. They're like, "We're, sign me up." It just, it's metamorphosis happened. It's pretty amazing to see. I'll say after that, they passed the appropriations bill right around Christmas of 2020. That changed everything. And the biggest difference is they redefined the word time period or filing period to mean a calendar quarter instead of a calendar year like years past. So our next period in play here is January 1st to December. I should say that's an error on there. It's supposed to say March 31st, guys. That's my bad on there. Okay. Next period in play on the outline should say January 1st to March 31st. Quarter one all by itself. Okay, make a note of that. Okay. Then April, May, and June, quarter two all by itself. Quarter three and quarter four. So 4 separate filings. Okay. I'll say literally an hour before they passed the bill, they took back quarter four, but that still left us 3 quarters to file. And usually my hand, like I said, they raised the reimbursement from 50% to 70%, and the per employee cap from 5,000 per employee to 7,000 per employee per quarter. Okay, so now you're talking, we're getting employers $21,000 per employee. Guys, they are starting to listen more than they were a second before you said that. It's pretty cool how this happens. Okay, so again, just the way I explain it, I'm trying to educate them. Something major happens. Okay, so I'm going to rewind, do it again, then I'll keep going. After that, they passed the appropriations bill. Okay, that really changed everything. And one of the biggest differences is they redefined the word time period or filing period to mean a calendar quarter in 21 instead of a calendar year like years past. So our next period in play is January 1st to March 31st, quarter one all by itself. Then April, May, and June, quarter two by itself, quarter three and quarter four. So 4 separate filings instead of just 1 year end like years past. An hour before they passed the bill, they took back quarter four, but that still left us 3 quarters to file. And then they raised the reimbursement from 50% up to 70% and the 5,000 per employee cap to 7,000 per employee per quarter. That's why we're getting employers $21,000 per employee for year 21. Okay, you guys, let the magic happen. Keep a straight face. Inside you, they're getting excited. Okay. So now we're on to, there's an exercise on this. There's 2 things: PPP round 1 only, PPP round 2. If they did PPP round 1 only, if they're way up in revenue, they usually only did 1 round of PPP. Okay, which is fine because that little 60,000 or 51,000 was such a small amount, but it still looks like we know what we're talking about for compliance. Okay, but if they did that only, then everybody on your calculator, do it with me. Okay, we have 12 employees times 21,000. That's 252,000. Okay, you can see it's too bright, whatever. Simple math. Okay, and then we add 51,000 from 2020. That's $303,000 in the form of a refund check made out to the company. Just say that. It's fun to say, guys. So you're going to get you're going to get a check for $303,000 in the form of a refund check made out to Bill Henry Contracting. Follow me so far? And they say yes. Okay. Now, that's what most of them will be. Now, just to be compliant, if they did do PPP round 2, okay, instead of just doing it 21,000 per, I'll write it down for each quarter. Okay, so for round 2, so in 2021, you get 7,000 per employee per quarter. So 7,000 times 12 is $84,000 for quarter 1, $84,000 for quarter 2. Then just do divided by 2, 42,000 for quarter 3. Similar, the way we had to do an adjustment to keep you compliant on PPP round 1, usually cuts one of our quarters in half. It's not exact science, but it's usually what it comes out to. So now you do 42,000 plus 84,000 plus 84,000 plus the 51,020. So you'll get a check for $261,000 in the form of a refund check made out to Bill Henry Contracting. Follow me so far, Bill, on the numbers? And they're like, they went from 51,000 sounding too good to be true to $260,000 saying you freaking hot. I'm telling you, their transformation is almost done. Okay, they're pretty excited. Okay, follow me so far. You even got another yes out of them. Okay, so now I'm going to say here at the bottom of this, sometimes we do 15 or 20 of these in a day, believe it or not. And I'll say always, like I asked you, I ask people, what do they know about ERC? Okay, and I usually get one of two answers. Either I don't know much about it at all, or we looked into it and we're pretty sure we don't qualify. And it's because we're onto this screen right here. And I just on purpose don't do it in order, so it looks like I'm not reading a script, I'm talking. So I actually start with the third one, do the fourth one, then do the other one, just to kind of mess them up a little bit. So it doesn't sound like I'm just rehearsing it or reading it. But I'll say, like a lot of people say, we were deemed essential, so we never had to shut down. I hear that a lot. Or we got 2 rounds of PPP money, so I don't think you can get both. Or we're actually way up in revenue, or 21 was even our best year ever, so we don't qualify. And I'll agree, all of those absolutely would have been disqualifying factors based on that original guidance of the CARES Act of 2020. But that's also why there was still $1 trillion a year later, right? Good news is, based on the new guidance, these are no longer disqualifying factors. They're part of the math equation, meant to make some adjustments, but they no longer disqualify you, okay? This is the good news we're about to give them, guys, okay? Okay. Now, instead, what Jones does, they demonstrate how the pandemic affected you and your business and your industry, regardless necessary of revenue and profitability. Let me give you an example, guys. Everybody use my sister-in-law's restaurant as an example. It just drives the point home so much, okay? Now, if you're in New Hampshire, don't name the restaurant. We're not supposed to tell people how they did their taxes. If you're in Florida, I don't really care, okay? But just don't say the name of her restaurant if you're in New Hampshire, but say, you guys just say here in New Hampshire, or if you're in Florida, just say my friend Johnny up in New Hampshire, sister has a restaurant, okay? Just say it like that. Sister has a restaurant and it's been the best years ever, okay? Of her restaurant career. But she had to make some adjustments. And they're listed on this little cheat sheet right here. Number one is they had, for a long time, she was reduced to 50% capacity indoor seating. Most states were like that, you remember? And they remember that, okay? But what Cindy did for the first time ever is put tables and chairs out in the parking lot and called it patio seating. And for whatever reason that was hit, people flocked to it. And that actually made her more money than she would have with a full dining room. All of a sudden, guys, guess what? That actually made a little bit of sense what I just said, okay? And then I'll say, and then she added curbside pickup takeout orders. So people that were afraid to go out to eat could call the restaurant ahead of time, designate a parking area, and the lady with gloves and a mask on would give you your dinner through the car window and go home and eat it if that made you feel safer. But I tell you, that made her a small fortune, okay? So even though she had to make adjustments, she made more money than she ever had. She also qualified for PPP, and she got $240,000 in ERC, because we can demonstrate that she had to make adjustments. The pandemic obviously affected her. That makes sense? And sometimes at this point, I'll say the legal lease is called a nominal change within a sector, okay? Just saying that, just get them a little bit of confused that there's some legalese behind that, okay? But nominal change within a sector, okay? Now, then I'll add to that, on top of that is, like before we knew it was an aerosol, people thought they could catch the virus by touching a menu. So restaurants had disposable menus. They had to go in the trash after one use. That's a massive printing expense that they didn't have to use to do. During that first year, the price of red meat went up $2 a pound, okay? That, she, like Cindy, eventually had to change the prices of her burgers in the tavern. And if Uber Eats delivers it, they take 30% of that meal ticket. That's a huge factor. So sometimes I'll play with it, and true story, but I'll say, yes, she had to make adjustments, but yes, she also has a brand new 2-story garage with a lift for her husband's sports car. Okay, so, and that's a true story, okay? Now I'll say, now construction, and this one hits home too, guys, okay? If you're any kind of builder, framer, or contractor bidding a job today, you have to be real careful because the price of lumber today is way more than it was 2 years ago, okay? Again, do the inflections like that, so they kind of feed off of it. And you're not getting a flatbed of lumber delivered tomorrow. Things take a while to get supplies in, okay? Everything just costs so much more and takes so much longer. Now you can use my property. You say my friend has bought a farmhouse if you want, just story sell, right? And this is absolutely true. but we're building the bed and breakfast on the end and the in-law suite. And the door to my in-law suite, love my mother-in-law, but we needed a door. Okay, so, but that door was 11 weeks on order. Okay, true story. And I'll tell people the couch for my main house was 40 weeks on back order. We're still waiting for that. They said it could be up to a year. Okay, true story. But then people are going to relate to this. The guy Jim who wired my house, he said I paid 2.5 times what he would have charged me 2 years ago because the price of copper wire is so expensive. When he can get it, he has to hoard it. Okay. So you just, those are real stories. You don't have to change a thing. Just say my friend Johnny just bought this property, building an Airbnb, bed and breakfast, in-law suite, and just say the door's 11 weeks on back order, couch took 40 weeks to come in, still not in yet. Wiring took 3 times as much. These are real pain points. I'll mention, we do everything from landscaping to trucking to plumbing and heating. This is the world we live in. And they're gonna, especially if you're talking to a construction company, I'll say, I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir, and they'll say yes, okay? Yes, if they mention things like today, I did a construction company this morning, and he said, listen, we're all union, so we had to send everybody to job sites, and I lost an hour a day of their workday because they all had to stand in a line and get COVID tested every day before they're allowed on a job site. So that 8-hour workday, it took a chunk of that, an hour, that alone will qualify, because that's a 12% nominal change within a sector. Easily, that alone will qualify. But make a little note like that, okay? A lost hour productivity a day for testing, something like that. Okay, make a little note because we can kind of hit them home in the end with it. Okay, so then I'll say car dealerships. They can't get new cars right now because the chips aren't available. So they pivoted and now they sell used cars, and ironically, they make more money, but that's also a nominal change within a sector. But guys, they might be in some kind of a school or office setting, and they like this idea, but they're saying, how does it affect me? Like, I don't order supplies, and I'm not a restaurant. Okay. This is where we say, sometimes here, anywhere in here, you can flip to this screen. You see on the screen here, this is you say the word, this is a very small sampling of the hundreds of pages of guidance that joints can use if they need it to qualify just about everybody, okay? I say we do a ton of community colleges and charter schools and urgent care centers and dental offices and retail. Get them thinking, yes, we're helping just about everybody, that's a fact. But I'll say, whether it's an office setting or retail, think about those plexiglass dividers in between the desks or the cash registers, or the sanitation stations, the air filtration systems. They'll say even the protocol to wipe down all the surfaces and disinfect it with bleach every 90 minutes, whatever, that's taking productive minutes out of your 40-hour productive work week. That's a nominal change within a sector. All of a sudden, guys, we just gave them hope that we can help just about everybody. This might actually work for me. That's what they're thinking, okay? You can talk about going virtual. You can expound on these if you want, especially after you start getting some of your own stories. Like my hot tub lady, everybody else in the country needed bleach. So the hot tub lady couldn't get bleach from my hot tub, and I need my hot tub. So she had to find a way to buy bleach in a block formation on a pallet, break it up herself into the little disc, repackage it and rebrand it. And she made more money doing that. That qualified her, because that's a nominal change going to the sector, okay? I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of stories you'll see after a while, guys, but you want to keep it kind of concise. But restaurant, construction, car dealership's a quick one, and then everybody else, just think about protocol, okay? And then just talk about, a sanitation station, air filtration systems, the protocol to wipe down surface areas, because that's almost everybody, it really is. And now again, we want to not make it sound like it's easy, want to make it sound like it's everybody. So on this, I have a wording. It's a nominal change within a sector. It can be complicated, but the CPAs have a formula how they figure all that out, okay? You want them to know and think it's complicated, okay? So that's why they need joints. Now, can they do this on their own? No, okay, it is complicated. Will somebody out there probably try? Maybe, okay, but they don't want to do this on their own, guys. It is complicated, okay? So now it's important on example 5 to say we can't help everybody. That puts integrity into the project, and it is true. If they can't compliantly qualify somebody, they're not going to risk. They are making way too many millions and millions and millions upon millions and millions and millions upon several millions of dollars. They're not going to jeopardize this just to push a group through. Okay, they're not going to risk that, or the CPA licenses. Okay, yeah, I think I missed a few millions in there. They're making a lot, guys. This is phenomenal. But they're going to make sure that they're not going to put the company in jeopardy or themselves. And that goes all the way forward to the audit support, which is very important, okay? So I say we can't help quite everybody. And I'll talk about, I had one actually last week, and the true story, I've used this story theoretically, but it actually happened. This lady, all of her employees work from home on a laptop doing online investment trading, no interaction with live customers, okay? So I've been using that as a real story since then. I say, these guys work from home every day. They could be in their underwear, nobody would know, okay? Their life hasn't changed at all in the last 2 years, okay? But for the rest of us in the real world that have real life interaction with live customers, have to hire and fire and order supplies and put fuel in the trucks, we can help almost everybody. Does that make sense to you, Bill? And they're gonna say, yes, it does, okay? Right? So that's that right there. So we can help almost everybody. Now, if you wanna hit it home, it's almost too good to be true, but the true fact is Damon, okay? Yeah, he's the one that wrote 140 million fooling around with us before we joined the team, okay? Which put 1.4 million in his pocket in 5.5 months, right? His first 600 Zooms, 598 got qualified. That's a true fact, guys, okay? That is an absolute true fact, okay? So we can help almost everybody, okay? Now, I think I had to, then I'll say, then we go to the checks. The checks is a very, very fun slide, okay? Do mention, this is the gentleman who owns 2 car dealership. He did allow us to show this. We're not just showing you a random personal check. Make sure you say that so they know we're not gonna display their private information. But I say, I'd like to show this. And guys, when they see that this one check is 446,000 and the bottom one's just over 500,000, every ounce, there's a whole science to this, guys. When we say what we say, their belief factor is just going up and up and up on the check. It really is, okay? But I'll say, I'd like to show this. This is a Kia dealership with 60 employees here and a Hyundai with about 70 employees. I'd like to show that because notice this number, 446,798 and 89 cents. It's not just 60 times 7,000. They don't just round it down. And here I dropped the hint here. George works on a percentage, and I'll get to that in 2 slides. But basically, they're incentivized to get every nickel they can for you. So if you had an employee that worked for 7 weeks of Q1 last year, they're looking to drill down to every one of these periods and get you 70% reimbursement of any payroll that went out. That makes sense? And guys, they're just eating out of your hand at this point. This becomes more and more real as we go. You see this check, this code right here, F941REF? That's an amended 941 quarterly, which is ERC. An overpayment triggers a refund check. Guys, I'm just rewording what I said on that first slide. That belief factor just went up. And this is their time, but this is their April, May, June, their Q2 check for Kia. And this is their Q2 check for Hyundai. They got 3 of these for each dealership. Plus they got 5,000 ahead for 2020. They were north of $3.4 billion. Amazing, okay? Now tell this story. Now Seth had reached out to his prior accountant and asked for them to look. They heard about ERC and he asked them to see if they could qualify. Within minutes, that CPA called back and say, absolutely not, Seth. You made way too much money last year, okay? All that CPA must have done is Googled ERC tax credits. How do you qualify? What came up? The first 2 pages of the CARES Act from 2 years ago, okay? Of course they didn't qualify under those guidelines. Nobody did. That's why there was still $1 trillion in that fund a year later. What Jorns does is drills home. They go dig into all those hundreds of pages of new guidance that come out since then and use that to qualify them instead. We want to separate it because they might have had a CPA that told they don't qualify. And I just showed the story. This guy's CPA said the same thing. And guess what? Because he believed me and not his CPA, he's $3.4 million richer. Okay, basically is what we're saying as a story, right? So seeing is believing, guys. I love this. And if you've been here since last Tuesday, I'll say now, and we used to submit 1 quarter at a time. Now we do them all at once. But we have 50 to 70 clients getting their checks in the mail every single day. Okay, that's exciting. And that's very cool to say, but that is a fact, guys. Okay, I'll say, but we just noticed there's a new line appearing right here. It says 4% accrued interest retro to July of 21. The government expects companies to file and qualify for this. And they're actually already, you haven't even filed yet, Bill, but you're already earning 4% on the money they owe you. Okay. That just makes it hits it home, guys. It really does. I've been starting to use that last couple, and that is phenomenal. That's absolutely true. Okay. But now I want to do that little, you don't want to demonize your CPA because people get defensive. Okay. They could be in the room too. They could be on the Zoom, so you don't want to attack them. But sometimes I'll use this story, okay? I'll say, let me give you an example, Bill, okay? If it's taking a long time or they got on late, you can just abridge it. But I like to tell the story this way. But let me give you an example, Bill. Let's say you're in your dentist, you've been going to the same dentist for years, right? And but one day he says, you know what, Bill? Bad news, you need a root canal this time. He's not going to say, at least I hope he wouldn't say, you know what? I've never done a root canal before, Bill, but I always wanted to try it. I have a book in my office. I'll be right back. Okay. You wouldn't be in the chair when you get back, probably, right? Okay. Hopefully he's going to refer you to an oral surgeon that does nothing but root canals. Okay. Because that's what they're really good at. That's what Jordan's is. They do nothing but root canals, or they do nothing but ERC. They're the specialists. Okay. Doesn't mean your dentist is a bad dentist because they don't do root canals. They just need to refer you to a specialist. Does that make sense? Again, in case after this call, they go to their CPA and you say, oh, you don't qualify, you make too much, okay? That's why you have to ring this in. Somebody have a question? I hear somebody chime in? Yes, no? Okay. This one here, I don't spend much time on, even though it was you do this, we do that. I just say, Jordan didn't invent this. They just became the experts on this last year. And they've grown to 160, a team of 160 that don't do anything but this, and they're leading the country, okay? I don't spend much time on this one at all, okay? Now, this is what I say. Now listen, Bill, I can't guarantee they're gonna qualify your construction company. On the side, I'd probably bet you a steak dinner anywhere in New Hampshire if you want. I'm not supposed to say that, I'm not the CPA, okay? Now, if it's a restaurant or a construction company, you could actually say that if you want, okay? But say, I'm not supposed to say that, I'm not the CPA. But once you engage with Jordan's, the CPA qualifies you, then they do guarantee their numbers are 100% accurate, okay? Let's just say they're not figuring this out. Okay, they're not crunching numbers on a spreadsheet, for hours on end. Jordan's way past that. We've already helped thousands of clients get billions in refunds. Okay, so with them, it's plug and play. They built an operating system that the IRS has approved. So for them, it's more or less plug and play. They take your historical payroll data from these time periods, put it into their program, and it spits out to the penny what you know receive in a refund. But now, though, it will be plus 4% interest. Okay. And these two paragraphs are very important. They're not looking to become your new year-end preparer. They don't even do that anymore. But for this project, they 100% are your CPA, okay? They are your paid preparer, and that legal relationship is very important. If you ever get audited, Jordan stands behind this entire project. They guarantee it. They put their CPA licenses on the line. They guarantee their compliance, how they qualified you, and all their math to the penny. Very, very important. Now, that's about as much time as you want to spend on that. You don't want to sell it in 12 minutes on it and exasperate it, whatever. Just hit that, say it, and go on to the next. I'm not trying to oversell that part, but that is a fact. Okay. Now here, I always have to move our faces down when I'm doing this. I'll say just a second. I try to move the faces out of the way, and it's doing it again. I'm trying to drag this. Come on. There we go. I'll say the way Jordan's operates is on a contingency fee, and their fee is 15% of whatever they can get for you in a refund. Okay. So we should be on slide 9 right now, something like that on your cheat sheet here. Okay. Okay. I'll say 15%. Now it's important here. You say, actually, if you went around us and went directly to Jordan's, they actually charge 20% if you went directly to them. But because of the volume our agencies collectively given them, and everyone here is a part of this, guys, we just say we, and soon you can say I, but we're giving them about 200 new cases a week. So on the sheer volume of that, our clients enjoy that reduced filing fee of 15%. Okay. Now, you just added value to that, and it's absolutely true. If they go to Jordan's website, it's going to say 20%. They hire them directly. Okay. But it's, again, because our agencies collectively give them 200 new cases a week because of that sheer volume, our clients enjoy that 15% reduced filing fee. But with us, we pay after you receive your check. Okay. Now, this is a fact. One of the customers I was talking with, he had talked to another company, and they wanted half of that fee to be in advance. Insane. Okay. So I'll say one of our competitors actually requires half of that in advance. I don't even know how they collect that, but they do. With Jordan's, if you don't get a refund, you're not going to end up paying them a penny. Okay. So we're separating ourselves from everybody else. Okay. So again, if you're out there calling, dropping flyers, this isn't part of the conversation at all. You don't need it to be. Okay. We're not hiding it, but we have to build the value into it. They're excited about getting $303,000. So they know Jordan's has to get paid, but that's how this works. Now this, you have to know that this is not a big deal. Okay, if you're new at this, Don't let this part intimidate you at all. It's not a big deal. I own bird dog properties. I've never put an offer on an apartment building or a house without putting a deposit down with my offer. Okay, it's just how you do business. And I know that if I get outbid or if financing falls through, I don't end up with that building, I get my deposit back. This is like that, guys. It's no different. There's no risk with this. So I'll say Jordan's does collect a $2,600 deposit at engagement to get their CPA started on your case. But if at any reason, I don't know why they would, Bill, but if they came back and said, I'm sorry, Bill, you are that 1 in 100 company, we can't help, they'd refund your deposit that day. Okay. I say last month, I think we had one true story. They had all 1099s until like last September, nothing we could really do. But assuming we can get you that $300,000 this summer, then you'll be invoiced from Jordan's, but that invoice will say minus $2,600 because they actually credit that toward a 15. It's not a separate fee. Does that make sense? Because usually they do. You don't have to spend much more time than that. Sometimes they'll ask, just want to make sure I got that right. That's not an extra fee. That goes toward a 15%. And if you can't get a refund, I get my money back. Absolutely, that day. Okay, just say it and move on. Just like you don't want to oversell the audit guarantee, even though it's real. Don't apologize for this part. Just make it real. Okay, if they're not willing to do that, because we're paying these CPAs and sometimes multiple on a case, $250 an hour. So that we're making sure it's not a tire kicker. Once they've invested that, they're much more apt to get, their butt off the seat and go get that payroll, right? That's what we want them to do. And I usually click through these. Oh yeah, like I mentioned, there's no human error, Bill. It's all guaranteed they're compliant because they use every single case on that IRS approved software. Does that make sense? Now, for those of you in the insurance business, this is where we lay that little future golden nugget, okay? Especially if you're a presenter for me and you have an insurance agent on it. This is where I use, say Michelle was the agent that brought Bill to me. I'll say, one more thing, Bill, I'm going to add what's called the consideration at this point, okay? Really has nothing to do with Jordan's or nothing to do with the IRS, certainly. It's really a plug for Michelle's business because she's why we're talking today. I'm just going to say, if we can exceed your expectations and get you $300,000 check this summer that you don't have to pay tax on, I'm going to suggest that you maybe take a few dollars a week and give your employees maybe $5 or $10 a week to buy some cool benefits that she offers. Dental, vision, life insurance. We're all looking to attract and retain good employees. That's a great way to do it. Certainly can't require that, obviously, but I will say we car dealership that we had, they gave their employees $10 a week for life insurance. It went over huge. It really did. Okay. But anyway, that was a plug for you, Michelle. And then I go back onto it. Kind of like half joke about it. Sometimes the agent will laugh and say thanks. Sometimes the guy, Bill, will say, I'll do that for you, Michelle, in a heartbeat. Okay. It's fun, but we skip it. We just nail it. But we are planting that seed. And Michelle and John wrote $30,000 or $40,000 in a case. They even got their check yet. And they did employer paid in the case ahead of time. So pretty awesome. Okay. And now I say next step. Say from here, you're going to be directly engaged with that with a CPA firm. I'll have them send you an engagement email. On that email, there's 2 links, Bill. There's one to call it hello sign to sign their agreement, and the bottom one to pay the deposit. Okay. I say that now. This is inference. Okay. Again, we want to. The inference is that everybody's doing it, but I'll say I say that because the last few weeks, a lot of people paid the deposit right after the Zoom, but forgot to sign the one above it. And that kind of slows things down, okay? But once you sign it and pay it, that triggers one of the specialists to send a questionnaire. It's like a 3-page blue form, just a general overview of your business last couple of years. And on that, you're gonna put stuff like you said, you lost a lot of time with your guys testing on job sites. That's where you put that down. They'll get a hold of you and kind of formulate a strategy, assuming they say, yes, Mr. Henry, we can help you. This is what they're gonna need from you. Okay, we're gonna need the forgiveness details around that PPP round 1 loan as well as you have. And we're basically going to need the payroll data from basically quarters 2, 3, and 4 of 20 and 1, 2, and 3 of 21 and the 941s to go with it. Okay. I don't care what payroll company they say. If they say we use ADP, great. We've done tons of, we've done tons of cases with them. We have paychecks. We've done a ton of cases with them. Okay. So they can usually help you out. But if there is a question, we're going to assign a specialist for you. So if you do have a question, you're not one of 1,000 people trying to get through to get a question answered. You'll have one point of contact if something does come up. And this part here, it's going to be, it depends on the size, payroll, how fast you can get it, but 3-4 weeks, something like that. That we can control because this is all, our team does 24/7. This we can't. After that, it is going to be about 5 months before you get your check. Okay, so these caseloads are piling up. Another inference, guys, but I say it's basically a mad dash to the $1.2 trillion while it's there. Plus tax day was only 2 weeks ago. So these caseloads are piling up, nothing we can do about it. I think the fastest we saw was 7 weeks, but that was last year. But we're averaging probably 5 months, so it could be toward the end of the summer, but you'll get it. And then you'll receive your invoice from Jordan's. I'll say, any questions? Yeah, probably not. Now, I brought this up just for you guys to see this, and I actually added it to the PowerPoint. This is what that welcome letter looks like. This is the hello sign. It's not a real, it's a picture of it, but they click that, the window pops up, and they type in their company information, they put their email, that's a sign. But the bottom one is a second link. It looks like just the tagline at the bottom, but clicking, that's how they pay the deposit, okay? And it literally, as soon as you click it, it says add to cart. So it's pretty simple, but they're on the same. It is a true statement that a lot of companies have signed it and not paid it, or paid it and not signed it, thinking they're waiting for another email. So it's a little follow-up that I do on my back end. But once they do both, that triggers it, okay? I usually skip over this page. I know, you can if you want, but I'll leave this up here, okay? I'll just say, oh, here's a couple of referrals for you. And I'm about to ask them some questions, but I want this hanging out in front of them, okay? I want them looking at this. And because highlighted in yellow, you'll notice we were told by our CPA that we wouldn't qualify. Guys, the owner of a financial company, a doctor, and somebody said my CPA said I don't qualify. That's all. They're not reading every word on this, but it's just giving you so much credibility. And again, if they go to their CPA after the Zoom and they hear that, they're going to be less likely to run for the hills because we told them they say that, okay? Sometimes they'll say, can I ask my CPA about this? I'll say, sure. We work with a lot of CPAs. Just remember, if they tell you you don't qualify because of revenue, they just really don't know about this program, obviously, like I showed you, okay? Just remind them that, okay? We're not trying to be confrontational, but I leave this up, and now we're going to need a few things from them, okay? Okay, now I'll say, what's the actual legal name of your company, Bill? Is it Bill Henry Contracting or Bill Henry LLC, or what's the name of the company? We do need that information, or it could be DBA as. Sometimes, like the Bedford Village Inn, it's actually Hospitality Services Incorporated. You would never know that, but we do need to know the actual legal name of the company. And you might have only known their first name, but you need the first and last name. So what's your last name, Bill Henry? Okay. And what's the best phone number? If George has a question for you, get their phone number. And what's the best email? Probably the same one you use on a Zoom. Okay. And that's basically what we're going to hit with. So the name of the company, first and last name, best phone number, and best email. I have to move and plug my computer in. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Don't be afraid to have the cheat sheet notes by your side. You can be taking notes or look like you are and really be reading off of this until you get it down. After you do 10, you do 110, it'll be second nature. But one lady asked me today, and I've done hundreds. It was the first really kind of a BIT I've had on one of these, and she still wanted to engage, but she really peppered me with every kind of question. She wanted to know what this abbreviation stood for. And then I told her, I have no idea. I don't want to make up an answer, but you're going to have a specialist and the CPAs can tell you that. She wanted to know, what does wage attribution between PPP mean? I told her what I thought it meant. I said, you know what? Again, I'm not going to make up an answer. I'm just a bird dog presenter for Jorns, but you'll be dealing directly. And take yourself out of the equation. I'll say after today, there's certain client privilege that I want to be privy to, be dealing directly with the firm. One, it gets you off the hook, and two, get you the heck out of there to go on to the next one. You don't want to, guys. Now, I want you to understand this though. They are a client of ours, meaning Creative Benefit Solutions and Rhino Financial. They're not a Jorns client until they sign and do the deposit. Then they stop becoming our client and they become Jorns' client. So it's almost like if you go to a doctor's office, okay? You don't have a sit-down interview with a doctor before you become a customer. You have to become a customer to get 20 minutes in that observation room, right? So you become a customer there, give them your insurance card, and then you go to the doctor. So some people say, I want to talk to somebody at Jorns. It doesn't work like that, okay? We're just like if somebody called Aflac headquarters and they're not a policyholder, you might get, there's no information you can get. You don't have a policy. Nothing's relevant at that point, okay? Your insurance agent represents the agency. Once you're a policyholder, then somebody at headquarters can tell you what you have for policies and help you get a claim service or something like that. But it's you and them, and then it becomes Jordan's and them. That's basically the handoff. And we want it to be that way. That frees us up, okay? So that's pretty much the program, guys. I hope this has been helpful for you guys. But I definitely want to open this up for some question and answer. It's been exactly an hour. And so anybody, if you could just, I'm going to pour myself a glass of wine while I'm doing this, and I'm going to do some question and answers. So go ahead, guys.
Hey, Johnny, it's John. I have a question.
Okay.
Hey, Johnny, it's John. I got a question for you.
Sure.
I ran into an account today. They had applied for the ERC, sent everything through, and they're still waiting 6 months later for their check from the IRS. What would you tell them?
That's just how long it takes. So many people are going after this money. It's all backed up. So great. Congratulations for getting it done. So they already processed. They're just waiting for their check, basically.
Yep.
Yeah, they say everybody's doing it. So it kind of gives us credibility. It's just a mad dash for the 1.2. They say, congratulations, I'm glad you got in there. It shouldn't be much longer, stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any hotline number for them?
What's that?
Is there a hotline phone number or email address for them?
Just calling the IRS, literally. They have gotten their, I'm sure they got their approval letter about the amount, right? They know the amount they're getting. It's not their check
Yep.
yet, right? Okay,
Right.
so that's just the waiting game for the IRS. We're not really involved with that. Even if it was one of our clients, we're not.
Okay. Thank you.
Jordan's told us that they can check on it after the IRS has had it for 10 weeks.
I think we have, right. Our clients can get an update.
Once the IRS has had it for 10 weeks, the CPA can check on it for them, the CPA that filed it for them.
Okay. Thank you.
We can get, for our clients, we can get an update. That's true.
For Johnny, it's Bill.
Yeah.
You mentioned that at the end of the year, the preparer actually turns in the tax return for them, right?
Say it
Johnny?
again. In my
The
analogy,
tax-
you mean?
Oh, the George does the tax preparation and turns it into the IRS for them, right?
The quarterlies, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we send them a revised 941X to them to sign and look at, and then it goes to the IRS. We file it on every half.
Okay, so it's only that one form, the 941X. It's not the rest of the taxes, obviously.
It's not year-end taxes. That's why if somebody asks you guys now, by the way, I didn't do my year-end taxes yet. Does that screw me up? I filed an extension. It doesn't matter. This is quarterlies, so that makes it okay. That's the one our being. We're just filing 941 quarterlies. Doesn't matter.
Excellent.
And it's not a credit toward future filings. Some people, maybe they owe the IRS money and they think the IRS is going to take that. This is a totally different thing. This is not a credit toward future filings. This is actually a check in the mail. Okay, Wendy, you have a couple questions. How do I explain my relationship to you as an Aflac agent? Basically, just say we're an insurance agency, we're a network of insurance agents coast to coast, and collectively, yeah, it's a partnership, guys. We have the boots on the ground all across the country. So we are the interface. I mean, Jordan's had no idea the monster they created until they brought us on board, okay? Which has been a phenomenal match made in heaven. But we're handing these clients off in a record number, but we're not CPAs, they're not insurance agents, but that's the relationship. We just collectively are bringing them hundreds of clients a week. That way our clients get that discounted rate, okay? Now it says, how do I contact Jordan's? Now guys, I'm glad you said this. What I need, if you have a case ready to go, if they say, yep, send the engagement email, then you need to text me, or email is probably better for that. Email me. I need the name of the company specific, the things at the end I said to collect. The legal name of the company, ABC Roofing Incorporated, or Johnny's Kitchen LLC, whatever it is, okay? The first and last name of that contact person, the contact phone number, and the contact email, and the approximate number of full-time employees, okay? Those are the 5 pieces of information. Name of the company, name of the person, first and last name, phone number, email, and approximate how many employees, okay? Now, if you need a copy, can you please copy my CPA at accounting.com org, whatever, we can have a second or third contact included on it, including one point of contact.
Okay. Thanks.
Johnny, this is Bill again. I have, Peter, I met him, I saw Peter yesterday. He said he still has not gotten the connection from, Torrance.
We gotta check his email then, because we sent it to him twice. I get confirmation on that. Huh. That is, you know what? He must have got, it must have gone to spam then. It had to have gone to spam, because we definitely sent it twice.
Johnny,
Yeah.
this is Eddie. Where do I sign up to do the presentations?
Where do you sign up? Oh, me to like for hire for me?
Yeah,
Yeah, just let me know. You can tell me right now you want to do it, and we'll definitely get a ton of work for you. Absolutely.
sign me up.
All right. So Eddie's one. Fantastic. Appreciate that. You definitely use the help.
Scotty Murph here.
What's
Can you
that?
hear me?
Yeah.
Scotty Murph here. Can you hear me? Okay.
Hey, Murph, what's up?
Hey, good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for having me. Question for you. Is there a headcount limit differential? Is there a delta between, I thought I read somewhere that there was a headcount limit, and it's kind of a soft limit, so to speak, for 2020, which is 100 people, and for 2021 was 500. So I'm thinking, bread and butter small companies, but I'm also thinking hunting big game here.
Sure. Yeah, you're right. It is 2 to 100 for 2020 and 2 to 500 for 21. Okay. Now, if I have a company that's got, like I did a community college with Maria, and they had 200 employees, I still talk about that first number. I say, unfortunately, though, the cutoff was 100 employees. But don't get too disappointed. That was the smallest of the time periods. And I'll say, thanks for that appropriations bill, new guidance. That's part of the new good news. It goes up to 500 now, where it used to only be 100. Okay. So again, the more you do this, guys, you'll be able to really hone in on this. Like, let's say you have a landscaping company, okay? They have seasonal employees. Q1, if they're snow plowing, it's different, but they might have 10 year-round employees, but 50 seasonal. Q2 and Q3, guys, they have 50. So when you do that math equation, just let them know that. Okay, just kind of play the game, act like an expert, help them figure it out. Let them know I can't tell you exactly, of course, on a 15-minute Zoom, but just you play that out for them. Okay. Now, again, if they're 2020, they had 10 employees, but they rehired a bunch in 21, just get a specific, as close as you can, but just take yourself off the hook. Say, it's not an exact science. We can't get that close on a 15-minute Zoom, obviously, but we've done hundreds and hundreds. We're pretty close on our math. Does that make sense? And they say yes, and then go ahead and move on. Okay. Any other questions? Rest are good. Trying to think any other notes I thought of.
So Johnny, there's everything's booked up for tomorrow, right?
Yes. In fact, people got me going from 7:30 till 6 tomorrow night, because the West Coast added 2 at the end for their time. So yeah, tomorrow. And I plotted my unavailability. It's this Wednesday morning. I got 9 appointments, and I'm hitting the road for a road trip to see my new granddaughter in Kentucky. And I am doing a few on Friday morning from my hotel room, but I want to stay married, so I'm only allowed to do like 5. But that's it for my road trip. But I'll be back, early next week to start loading them up again. So we're already loading up appointments for next week, starting Tuesday early afternoon when I get back. But again, that's why I need a deep bench to have other people help me do these. Guys, now, by the way, if they say they have.
If anyone's on my team, Johnny, I can help on Friday
Oh, fantastic.
while you're gone.
Okay.
How do you see the recording here?
What's that?
How do we access this recording if we want to go through it all again?
I have no idea, but Jen or Chris can figure it out. Okay, so when I'm done, it says.
Yeah, we'll have to email it to people in order to access it.
Okay, yeah, we'll figure it out. Okay.
So can we, Johnny, this is Sue. Can we just start doing it for our own people? I can't quite send it for others yet because I have personal reasons.
That's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, you can. Now, I really like it to have me do at least 3 with you live, but we've done way more than that. So you're up to the races already. You're long past that.
Okay.
So I got Scott start loading up next Monday. Got it, Scott. I got that message. Fantastic. Oh, send the. Do you got this PowerPoint? I will have Christy send a PowerPoint to everybody. I will do that. And guys, don't worry about screwing it up, okay? We're spreading good news. If they don't want it, that's on them, okay? Just do your best. You're giving them good news. We're helping everybody. We're helping nonprofits. They will give this money away. It just happens to be that if you're the matchmaker, you get paid an awful lot of money for this, guy. So you want to make ridiculous amount of 6-figure income or 7-figure income. There's people that will make 8 figures. If you buckle down and do this, the sky's the limit. If you can think it and dream it, you can have it with this. Don't have any regrets from 2 years from now. And if it's a huge company, guys, and they have 1,000 employees, turn over every rock. Maybe we can't help them, but I've been pleasantly surprised. John Lechleiter, his I think it was 2,500 employees. Thankfully, it was 40 separate tax IDs, okay? Only one of those 40 was over 500. So I think we did the math. I mean, it depends on how many the actual full-time equivalent ends up being, but that could be a $66 million case. You move that dot over 2, that means John made $660,000, guys. That does not suck. I don't care how you splice that. That's pretty good, okay? This is a real opportunity, guys. But whether we do, yeah, if nobody's ever done a case, they started today, because I have 3 new teams that joined us today. We have 35 weeks left. If you did one 38 life case a week from now to the end of the year, you'll make well over $250,000 doing this. One 38 life case a week from now to the end of the year, if you hadn't done a single one yet. Most of you guys on here, some of you guys on here have 30, 40, 50 cases already, okay? Well on your way. You'll win the cruise by accident. You win the special yacht trip by accident, but well, on purpose, just go after this. So get that. When does this window close? The short answer is when the money runs out. It's a mad dash for 1.2 trillion. The legal answer is probably they'll honor filings through the end of the year because it's a tax credit. So even if it goes over, we'll probably even get some buffer grace on that. But the actual answer, it's a mad dash to the 1.2 trillion. And that certainly adds urgency to it for us guys, okay? We can load me up Monday. I just calendar, okay? So guys, if you guys want to just get real good and do your own cases, that's fantastic. If you want to help the cause and, just so we can duplicate ourselves and start doing these Zooms, we'd really appreciate, and we'll compensate for you. Okay, so think big, guys. Think really, really, really big, and then think a little bit bigger, and then add one more zero, whatever you came up with on the end of that, because this is as big as you want a piece of this, guys. I don't see how you would ever see any opportunity like this in your lifetime again. So don't let it pass you by. I won't have any regrets, okay? I'm not even sleeping right now. I'll sleep in a year, okay? I'm gonna do this absolutely. Okay, comp for presenting, $50 to do that 19-minute Zoom. They pay the deposit, another $50, okay? So if you do 5 a day and you're terrible at it and nobody signs up, you still made $250 in 2.5 hours, okay? If 3 of them say yes, you made $400, okay, in 2.5 hours. If you want to do 10 in a day, we will, these things are going to be out of control. We're just breaking the iceberg on this, guys, if that's the term, something like that. But we're going to have, if you wanted to do 10 a day, we can load you up. If you want to do 15 a day, we can load you up, guys, if you want to, and make a fortune, okay? I suggest do some of your own cases as well for the long-term, income to come in as well. But if you need to make a bunch of money right now, this is available for everybody. All right. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody on here. Good seeing your beautiful faces on a nice, what day is it? Is it Monday? Yeah, today's Monday, right? Yeah, it's Monday. It's been a long day. So we're going to all get up and do it again tomorrow. I think another question in the chat box. Again. Anybody else? You're welcome. Appreciate that.
All right, Johnny, Jesus loves you.
Thank you, man. Yes, he does. Amen for that.
Thanks, Johnny.
Thanks,
Johnny.
All right, everybody. Appreciate y'all jumping on. Let's do this thing.
Thanks,
Johnny.
Thanks, Johnny. See you guys.
Johnny. Appreciate it, John.
See ya.